And the reason we do a Worldview segment, we believe these are critical times, perilous times in which we are living. And there's a verse of scripture out of 1 Chronicles 12:32 that says, the sons of Issachar had wisdom regarding the times in which they live, and they knew what they should do. Today, more than ever, Christians need to wake up. Christians need to be able to discern the times in which they live for two reasons. You need to be informed today, like never before, so that you can be targeted in your praying. And number two, not only do you need to be informed to know how to pray, you need to be empowered to act, to do something while it is day, for the night cometh when no man shall do any work, Christ said. So here at Trinity, we believe we're a spiritual crossroads where moral, cultural, social, political, economic issues collide or intersect with biblical truth. And perhaps this is one of the most important worldview segments that I've ever presented to our congregation. There's an interesting verse of scripture in the book of Daniel. Daniel is one of the most important biblical figures in the Bible, and he's one of the greatest prophets in the Bible. And in Daniel chapter 11, verse 1, it says this, "And in the first year of Darius the Mede, I took my stand to support and protect him." This is the prophet Daniel. Imagine Daniel today standing up and saying, in the first year of Trump, the New Yorker, I took my stand to support and protect him. Darius was a pagan ruler that God's hand was upon, and God called Daniel to help guide this leader. Today, you have modern religious leaders who say, oh, we don't get involved in politics, we just stick to the Lord's work. Seems like Daniel didn't get the memo because he was busy influencing kings and shaping empires. And that is the role, the prophetic role of the church in these end times. You know, maybe Daniel's his copy of the guidebook of prophets who don't speak on politics, maybe while he was in the lion's den, it got left behind or it got lost because he didn't get that memo. Now listen to me very carefully. There's a difference in being a good man and being God's man, chosen for such a time as this. Former President Donald Trump, he had our back, the church's back, during his presidency on two key issues, the right to life and his support of Israel. He did not waver. Because of that, I believe the church should have his back right now. So I, like Daniel, I take a stand to support and protect Donald Trump. Now here's what's at stake, and this is where Christians need to wake up. There's so many are asleep right now in spiritual slumber. Here's what's at stake. If you don't know this, please know this. Currently, Donald Trump is the sole national figure defending the legacy of Western civilization, which is deeply rooted in the Judeo-Christian values. He stands against a rising tide and a rising tide that's in favor of a new world order that promotes anti-Christian socialist permissive ideologies. So it's no coincidence that in the year of his re-election for the presidency, 34 indictments were brought to the courts, and he was found guilty on all 34. They've had these indictments for 30 months, but they've only released them this year. Since Donald Trump and his wife descended the escalator at Trump Tower June 16th of 2015 to announce his presidential candidacy, he has been the target of relentless opposition, really unprecedented scrutiny. First of all, there was the Russian collusion that was proven to be a farce, and the credibility of the FBI was damaged. He was impeached twice, December of 2019, because he spoke with the president of Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden. The Senate acquitted him in the year 2020. His second impeachment followed the Capitol riots in January of 2021 with charges of incitement of an insurrection. Once again, he was acquitted by the Senate in February of 2021. Since he's left office, he has faced continued investigations into his business practices and his personal life in New York, and potentially his election interference in Georgia. He is the first president in the history of our country to be convicted on felony charges. And Trump's conviction boils down to 34 instances of bookkeeping entries. The essence of the case against him is centered on whether his motivations were aimed at winning the 2016 election. From this, they infer potential violation of federal or state campaign laws and tax regulations. Importantly, It should be noted that no concrete evidence was presented to substantiate these claims except for questionable witnesses, including Stormy Daniels, a porn star, Michael Cohen, his former attorney who is now a convicted felon. Now, we're not defending the morality of this case, but the legality of this case. Convicted with the help of a Democratic district attorney, Alvin Bragg, in Manhattan, whose campaign, Alvin Bragg's campaign, was indirectly supported by George Soros through a PAC. That's been verified. Consider the timing and the implications of all of this. The timing of the indictments just before his re-election, raising suspicion of political motives behind this. His sentencing, he will be sentenced on July the 11th, 4 days before the Republican National Presidential Convention. Consider the conflict of interest. A notable conflict between Fannie Willis and Fulton County District Attorney, who had a personal relationship with Nathan Wade, the lead prosecutor in one of Trump's cases. One had to recuse themselves. And here are the three major concerns that should concern all Americans. First of all, the politicization of the judicial system. This case will set a dangerous precedent where the judicial system is used as a weapon in political vendettas, undermining our trust in its impartiality. This charade will destabilize our democratic process, making legal challenges a routine aspect of political conflict. Here's the second major concern: a chilling effect on public service. The prosecution of a former president for actions related to his duties while in office will deter individuals from public service. Only a billionaire businessman has the means to defend himself against the entire federal government. Number three, setting a precedent for future prosecutions. This case will establish a precedent where former presidents are routinely subjected to legal actions post-presidency, eroding the traditional presidential immunity that is associated with your executive office duties while in office. This will be removed, and there will be a fear of future legal repercussions. The case against Trump sends a stark warning to all future conservative politicians. You are at risk of being targeted and completely ruined, personally, professionally, and financially. So I am asking President Joe Biden to immediately issue a full pardon of Donald Trump for two reasons. Number one, national unity. President Biden pardoning President Trump could help heal the nation's divisions by moving past contentious political battles, much like Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon in his aim to help move the nation towards healing after the Watergate scandal. The second reason I believe that President Biden should immediately pardon former President Donald Trump out of, listen to me, presidential courtesy. There should be a norm of professional courtesy where presidents pardon their predecessors to protect the dignity of the office and acknowledge the pressure and the decisions that they face during their terms. Joe Biden is the 46th president of the United States of America. We have only had, this July 4th is our birthday as a nation, will be 240 years old. Joe Biden is the 46th president in the history of the United States of America. There has only been 46 men that have held this office and have had this role. Therefore, out of professional courtesy from one president to the other, and if the tables were turned, I would be asking Donald Trump to pardon Joe Biden. So I am urging President Biden to issue a full pardon of Donald Trump for the greater good of our country during this period of deep division. Mr. President, as a leader committed to fairness, surely you recognize the value of a fair political contest, and I ask you to do the right thing. You know, I'm reminded of a scene in Gladiator where Commodus wounds Maximus before the final battle, choosing deceit over honor. I would appeal to our president that he would embody fairness and extend professional courtesy to Donald Trump. Let us prioritize the unity and the healing of our nation by pardoning former President Trump, but also America. Remember, even a wounded opponent can come back to defeat you. Please stand to your feet out of love, respect, and esteem for the public